The Young and the Restless spoilers shock Thurdays full episodes May 15, 2025 soon. In the hushed corridors of Newman Enterprises, word will spread like wildfire. Phyllis has extended an invitation to Victor that he cannot refuse. Under the guise of a routine meet and greet at Il Giardino's private wine cellar, Phyllis plans to draw him into a web of intrigue, her eyes glinting with ambition, her lips curved in a promise of revelation. She will insinuate that she holds the key to Victor's greatest rival's downfall, a dossier of unassailable proof that could topple Dumas's empire and cement Victor's supremacy forever. Victor, ever wary but eternally curious, will accept the invitation. He will arrive at the grand arched doorway, greeted by Phyllis's flawless smile and the soft clink of crystal glasses. The moment she closes the door behind him, the candles lining the marble table will flicker, casting dancing shadows that mirror the danger in her plan. As they take their seats, Phyllis will lean forward and lower her voice to a conspiratorial whisper, "I have everything you need, Victor. But it must remain between us." His practiced calm will waver for a heartbeat, and in that crack, Phyllis will know she has him exactly where she wants him. At the very same hour, across town at Indigo Jazz Lounge, Damien Kane sits stiffly in a velvet booth, the dim light painting his features in chiaroscuro. He fidgets with the stem of his glass, the amber liquid swirling like captive fireflies. At last, Lily Winters slips into the booth opposite him, her eyes alight with purpose. She has laid out her offer: position at Winters Publishing, full access to the family's resources, and the cover he needs to approach Dumas as their own mole. Damien's pride bristles at the notion of playing double agent, yet the promise of partnership with a family as powerful as the Winterses stirs a hunger in him. Lily watches him carefully, waiting for the moment he yields. When he finally nods, his acceptance is measured but resolute. "I'll do it, Lily. But I do this on my own terms." She smiles, relief and triumph mingling in her gaze. "That's all I ask," she replies, and their alliance is sealed with a quiet clinking of glasses. Meanwhile, in the sunlit atrium of Chancellor Winters, Chelsea Lawson storms through the glass doors, her stilettos clicking like gunshots. Adam Newman meets her at the balcony, the city spread out below like a battlefield. Chelsea's eyes flash with frustration as she confronts him. "You know what I think," she demands. "I think your father still controls you. He always has, and he always will." Adam's jaw tightens. He lifts a hand to calm her, voice firm. "He doesn't," he insists. "I used to follow his lead, yes, but not anymore. I am my own man." Chelsea narrows her eyes. "I want to believe you," she says, "but words aren't enough." Adam steps closer, earnest. "Then I'll prove it to you." She crosses her arms. "You can't prove anything if you bow every time Victor snaps his fingers." He meets her glare with unwavering resolve. "That's why I need you here, Chelsea. To show me I'm on the right path." She looks away, torn. "Fine. But if I see you bending to his will again, I walk. I don't want to watch you doing his bidding." Adam's hand finds hers. "I understand." The tension between duty and desire crackles in the air like electricity. Moments later, in a private suite at the Grand Phoenix Hotel, Victor summons Adam for his own counsel. As Adam enters the room, Victor's silhouette is framed against the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights twinkling behind him. Victor's tone is deceptively mild. "Adam, I hear you're planning to finalize the sale of our joint venture," he begins. "I think you should reconsider." Adam's shoulders stiffen, he meets his father's gaze unflinchingly. "I appreciate your concern, Dad," he says, "but I believe this sale is the best move for my future." Victor's eyes narrow. "Your future? Or mine? Remember, I built this empire, and I expect loyalty in return." Adam's voice remains steady. "I intend to honor what you've done, but I need room to chart my own course." Victor's lips press into a thin line. "Then prove it," he challenges. "Cancel the sale. Keep your hands on the reins and show me you can lead. Adam inhales, weighing his next words carefully. I will show you, but only if you trust me enough to step back. Silence stretches between them until Victor finally nods, an unspoken truce forged. Outside the suite, the world holds its breath. That evening, Chelsea and Adam convene in the private dining room of Society Bistro, their table set for two but laden with tension. She sprawls in her chair, slender fingers wrapped around a glass of Merlot. So, she begins, voice low, have you told your father to back off yet? Adam pours her another glass, the red liquid catching the light. I've asked him to step aside, he replies. But you have to promise me one thing. She arches a brow. What's that? He meets her eyes. That you'll stay, even if it gets messy. I need you here to keep me honest. Chelsea studies him, the play of light and shadow revealing her uncertainty. Finally, she lifts her glass. All right. But if he springs another ultimatum on me, if he tries to pull you back into his orbit, I walk. Adam smiles, relief softening his features. Then let's celebrate the fact that tonight, you and I are in charge. They clink glasses and drink, forging their own fragile alliance against the looming specters of Newman power. Back at Newman Enterprises, Phyllis lays out her dossier for Victor in the candlelit silence of the wine cellar. As she slides the file across the table, Victor's hand hovers before closing the folder. This is impressive, he admits, voice low. You've done well. Phyllis allows herself a small smile. All I ask is a chance to prove my loyalty. Victor leans back, considering. Very well, he finally says. We proceed on one condition, you share everything with me first. No surprises. Her nod is barely perceptible. Of course. The candles flicker, and in that chiaroscuro glow, Phyllis senses both triumph and trepidation. She has drawn Victor deeper into her scheme, but now there is no turning back. As midnight approaches, Damien slips back into his apartment, the weight of his duplicity pressing on his shoulders. Lily's message lights up his phone. Tomorrow at 9. Nate and Devin are waiting. He breathes out, steeling himself for the day ahead. Each alliance, Phyllis and Victor, Lily and Damien, Chelsea and Adam, is a gambit in the high-stakes chessboard of Genoa City. Friendships will fray, loyalties will be tested, and secrets threaten to explode. Yet in every whispered deal and stolen glance lies the promise of power and, perhaps, the hope of redemption. In the city that never truly sleeps, dawn will bring new challenges. Victor weighing Phyllis's intelligence against his innate suspicion, Adam striving to balance his autonomy with his father's expectations, Damien walking the razor's edge of deceit in service of the Winters family, and Chelsea standing guard over her love, ready to defend it against any attempt to manipulate it. Each player moves with careful calculation, every gesture charged with hidden intent. And beneath it all, the beating heart of Genoa City's undercurrents pulses with ambition, passion, and danger, reminding all who dare to hold power that the cost of loyalty may be higher than any of them can imagine. As the late afternoon sun dipped behind the sleek facades of downtown Genoa City, Adam and Chelsea slipped away from their separate offices and wandered arm in arm toward the upscale bistro known as GCAC. The restaurant's interior was awash in muted golds and dark woods, soft light reflecting off polished tables and casting elongated shadows across the marble floor. Chelsea's laughter, low and musical, mingled with the subdued hum of conversation, yet beneath her smile lay a trace of apprehension. She knew Victor Newman could appear at any moment, and his moods were as capricious as the city's shifting fortunes. Adam guided her to a secluded table near the arched windows, offering a gentle kiss on her temple before pulling back to study her face. I promised you tonight would be about us, he murmured, voice warm yet tense. She nodded, eyes wary, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. I know, she replied softly, but you know how he is. Before Adam could reassure her further, a familiar silhouette emerged from the foyer's amber glow. Victor, immaculately dressed in charcoal gray, his stern gaze quickly locking onto Adam. With a curt nod to Chelsea, Victor beckoned his son to follow him into a small private alcove just off the main dining room. Inside the dimly lit niche, Victor closed the heavy door and turned to Adam, his expression inscrutable. "I've been hearing about your plans," he began, his voice measured yet edged with steel. "Your stance on Billy is misguided." Adam's jaw tightened. "Dad, I thought we agreed." Victor held up a hand. "No. I want you to go after Billy with Newman Media. I want him to look weak, incompetent. But do not run a single line until I give the green light. Understood?" Adam swallowed, the weight of the request pressing on him like a physical force. "Chelsea won't like that," he said quietly. Victor's lips curved in a thin, humorless smile. "Then you'd better smooth things over with her. Your loyalty to me must never blindside your loyalty to your wife." He paused, gaze piercing. "Also, I hope you've cancelled that sale of your apartment to Kyle Abbott." The implication hung in the stale air, that any sign of independence on Adam's part was unacceptable. Adam's shoulders slumped in reluctant acquiescence as Victor released him with a brief nod. "Be back soon," Victor added, turning on his heel and melding back into the glow of the main dining room. Adam returned to their table, forcing a convivial smile as he slid into the seat beside Chelsea. She didn't miss the tension in his eyes. Before he could reach for her hand, she leaned forward, voice low but insistent. "Did he still want you to go after Billy?" Adam exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "It's been postponed," he said, carefully modulating his tone. "Trust me, I promised I'll handle it, but tonight is ours. I owe you that." He lifted his glass of Pinot Noir in a mock toast, but Chelsea's brow creased in doubt. She studied him critically, as though trying to discern the honesty behind his practiced calm. The hush between them filled with unspoken fears. Would Adam bend to Victor's will? Would their fragile alliance weather yet another test of power and principle? Meanwhile, in the sultry blue-lit haze of Indigo Jazz Lounge, Damien slid onto a velvet banquette opposite Lily, the stand-up bass's rumble vibrating through the floorboards. His tailored suit felt suddenly constricting as he recounted the earlier encounter. "I met with Holden Novak," he began, voice low, "and told him you'd offered him a position at Winters. He thought it was a genuine offer, not knowing." Lily raised a manicured finger and cut him off gently but firmly. "He needs to believe the only reason you're coming on board is to share our business secrets with Dumas." Damien blinked, leaning back as the saxophone sighed behind him. "So you want me to spy on Holden, on Dumas, for you?" he asked, incredulity coloring his tone. Lily's gaze hardened with resolve. "You look like you're curious, tracking their every move. If Dumas believes you're there purely to funnel Winters's plans to him, he'll tell you exactly what he wants, what he's hunting for." She paused, letting the gravity of her proposition settle between them. "I'm asking you to act on behalf of our family, to pledge your loyalty and trust." The overhead lights quivered as a trumpet's high note cracked the air, and Lily leaned closer. "So tell me, Damien, will you do this?" Her question hung like an invitation to a dangerous dance, one that could elevate him to the inner circle or consign him to a perilous game of deceit. Damien watched her for a long moment, the velvet shadows playing across his face, reflecting ambition and uncertainty in equal measure. Finally, he set his drink on the table, the glass catching the spotlight's gleam. "All right," he said at last, voice steady. "I'll do it, on one condition." Lily's lips curved in a triumphant half-smile. "Name it." He leaned in, lowering his voice to match the intimacy of the question. "I want guarantees, protection if Dumas ever turns his sights on me, and full transparency from you and the Winters family." Relief and thrill flickered in Lily's eyes. "You have it," she assured him. They clasped hands, sealing their pact in the smoky glow of the jazz club. As the night wore on, the wheels of strategy and ambition turned relentlessly in Genoa City. At GCAC, Adam returned to Chelsea's side and lifted his glass, offering a fragile smile that belied the tensions churning beneath. In the jazz lounge, Damien and Lily watched each other across the table, conspirators bound by a promise of loyalty. And somewhere, in the hush of a private corner at Newman Enterprises, Victor Newman nodded to himself, convinced that every piece was moving as he had ordained. But in a world where secrets were currency and alliances shifted like quicksilver, each whispered command and reluctant assent would soon ignite fresh turmoil, an intricate tapestry of power plays, loyalties tested, and hearts poised on the edge of betrayal. In Genoa City, the late hour was never an end, but merely the beginning of another game. Under the soft spotlight of indigo jazz, Damien leaned forward, eyes reflecting the shimmer of the bass drum's beat. "All right," he said, voice low but resolute. "Consider me yours." He reached across the small round table, offering his hand as a gesture of allegiance. Lily's lips curved in satisfaction as she grasped his fingers. Damien withdrew for only a moment, uncertainty flickering across his features. "Does Nate Hastings know about your plan?" he asked, curiosity and a hint of concern entwined in his tone. Lily met his gaze coolly. "He knows," she confirmed, her voice unwavering. "He's aware of what we intend." Damien arched an eyebrow, the faint lines of worry creasing his brow. "And what does he think of it?" Lily's answer came without hesitation, "He's worried." She paused, laying down her martini glass with delicate precision. "You should talk to your brother about it. Get his perspective. Make sure we're covered on every front." Damien nodded, swallowing the knot of doubt that tightened in his throat. He agreed to broach the subject with Nate, determined to shore up any loose ends before slipping deeper into the Winters family's high-stakes gambit. Meanwhile, across town at Crimson and Clover's rooftop bar, Phyllis Summers lingered in the shadows, her perfume, a heady blend of jasmine and night-blooming tuberose, drifting on the warm breeze. She had trailed Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra from the boardroom to the bar, drawn by a mixture of jealousy and strategic necessity. As the pair settled into plush leather chairs, their voices lowered in private conversation, Phyllis pressed her ear to the polished oak wall. Billy's laughter, warm and unguarded, drifted through the grain. Sally's response, soft and teasing, hinted at the renewed intimacy between them. Phyllis's lips curved into a half-smile, until the sting of envy flickered in her chest, sharp as a dagger's tip. She held her breath, listening to every word. Billy's voice softened. "Sally, I have to admit, after everything we've been through, it's good to have you here." Sally's reply, affectionate and reproachful, touched on the past betrayals, the missteps, and the renewed understanding they had forged. Phyllis's pulse quickened. This was the woman who had stolen her position at Abbott Labs, the one who'd outmaneuvered her and won Billy's reluctant admiration. Suddenly, Sally's laughter tinkled, a sound that Phyllis abhorred, and without warning, Phyllis stepped into the circle of light, her heels clicking on the marble floor like a judge's gavel. "That's the woman who stole my job," Phyllis declared, voice poised between mockery and venom, her eyes locked on Sally's. "And that's the man who let her." Billy stood, surprise and indignation flashing across his features. Sally rose too, regal and unflinching. "Phyllis," Billy began, tone protective. They turned to leave, but Phyllis blocked their path, her posture regal, unyielding. "Wait," she said coldly. "I have something to say." Her gaze swept from Sally to Billy. "I've moved on. Water under the bridge, let's stop the crossfire." She drew a deep breath, as though to extinguish the lingering heat of her anger. "I've found a new partner," she continued, her voice clipped with resolve. "I'll be working with my son." She paused, cocking an imperious smile. Billy's eyes flicked with relief and something akin to pride as he replied, "I'm glad to hear that everything I ever said finally sank in." Phyllis's smile sharpened. "I don't need your guidance," she snapped, reproach softening to cold dismissal.